How do you write a counterclaim? In this lesson, you will learn how to write a counterclaim by analyzing your claim. The prompt we're working with is, after reading Up From Slavery, Chapter 1, write a multiple paragraph essay that asserts how Washington's use of rhetoric shows his perception and positioning of audience. Support your position with evidence while considering a counterclaim. The writing process, as you'll remember, begins with reading and closely analyzing, then moves on to generating and planning, then drafting and revising, finally editing and publishing. We're currently working on drafting and revising. Let's remember that a counterclaim is a claim that is made to rebut or prove wrong a former claim. So, if one person were to say that the Saints are the best football team, a counterclaim to that statement would be that the Saints are definitely not the best because their coach got suspended last year and they didn't win the Super Bowl. Let's also remember that when you are including a counterclaim in your argumentative writing, it is crucial that you rebut or prove wrong the counterclaim. So if I were to write an essay about the Saints being the best football team, and I'm acknowledging the counterclaim about them not being the best because their coach was suspended and they didn't win the Super Bowl, it's crucial that I then list other reasons why they are in fact the best football team, and those reasons should pertain directly to the idea of the coach being suspended and them not winning the Super Bowl. Step 1. Review your claim and jot down a brainstorm of how you created it. Step 2. Imagine you thought the opposite of what you do. Ask yourself, what issues do you take with that claim? Step 3. Reframe those issues as a counterclaim. Step 4. Review your draft or outline and insert your counterclaim logically. So step 1, when you're brainstorming your claim and when you're reviewing your claim and jotting down a brainstorm of how you created it, you'll remember that my claim reads that Washington's use of rhetoric shows that he perceives his audience as divided racially, and he positions them such that they can get along against slavery. So in my brainstorm, I'm remembering I was thinking about how Washington is soft on the issue of slavery, but it's for a purpose, and the purpose is in order to bring his audience together. So now in step 2, I'm imagining that I think the opposite of what I do, and now I'm thinking about what issues I might take with my original claim. And it strikes me that if I felt opposite that I do, Washington is really too soft on slavery. It doesn't matter his purpose. He should have come out loudly against it. So now step 3 is when I reframe those issues as a counterclaim. So I'm going to take these words about Washington being too soft on slavery, and I'm going to come up with a tidier, more academic way to state those ideas. Something like, no matter his purpose, Washington is too soft on the egregious issue of slavery. Step 4 is when you review your draft or outline and insert your counterclaim logically. So here's my outline, and I'm looking through my different body paragraphs to see if there's a good place for my counterclaim. I'm looking in the drafts of my body paragraphs, and it occurs to me that the best place for this essay would be to actually tuck it in with my conclusion. So let's see how I do that. Here's the draft of my counterclaim, as you saw before. No matter his purpose, Washington is too soft on the egregious issue of slavery. And so here I go. It's useful to use the phrase some people might believe in order to set up your counterclaim. So, some people might believe that no matter his purpose, Washington is too soft on the egregious issue of slavery. There is my counterclaim, but now I'm going to go into proving that counterclaim wrong, why it is that my original claim is still the strongest idea. While it's true that the existence of slavery in our nation is truly appalling, Washington was writing at a time when if he came on too strong, either his audience would stop listening or they would disregard him. In order to cause any positive change for his race and for our nation in general, he had to write delicately about slavery. In this way, Washington's use of rhetoric shows how he perceives his audience as racially divided and how he positions them to work together against the legacy of slavery. Do you see how I transitioned smoothly back into a restatement of my thesis? And now I'll finish. Those last two sentences are when I'm moving now to a grander truth that I'm taking my reader towards. Thus is the power of the written word. It can unite people over even the most acrimonious issues. So again, in the writing process, we're on the drafting and revising stage. We reviewed our claim and jotted down a brainstorm of how we created it. We imagined that we thought the opposite of what we did, and we asked ourselves, what issues do you take with that claim? The third step was to reframe those issues as a counterclaim, and the fourth step was to review your draft or outline and insert your counterclaim logically. In this lesson, you have learned how to create a counterclaim by analyzing your claim.